Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and give this episode a thumbs up after Garrison's service in Wyoming. Sister Wives viewers are asking where Meri Brown is. Even her son, Leon Brown, was there, as they take the family to their home. Was Meri in hiding somewhere? Then for more information, keep reading. After Garrison's service, viewers are asking why Meri is not there. Kody Brown phoned Meri Brown to notify that Garrison had died while she was filming a Sister Wives confession. Meri was emotionally upset as she remembered his life, and it was clear that they were close to each other. She was also part of the initial 3 wives who lived through these children's growth. Thus, it was unfortunate to lose one, particularly at their hands. She exposed that after Garrison's death, she stood by Janelle Brown. Even feeding her Meri was a major reason for all the accolades to him, because she was present at both the military funeral and the burial in Wyoming. Fans quickly discovered, however, that Meri had departed the home after the funeral. Everyone made their way there, including Meri's reclusive son, Leon Brown, except Kody, Robin, and their 5 kids. They did seem to pay tribute to Garrison, even though they no longer wished to appear on TV. Meri was approached this by a fan following the service. Where do you imagine Meri went? Don't you believe Janelle would have been welcomed by her family? It would seem that they would put aside their differences in order to keep Meri company throughout this saddening time. Some speculated that she could have spent time with Audrey Chris Leon's girlfriend. However, that has been refuted because Leon was quite clearly with the family, considering that she is a part of the family sister. Wives viewers were so confused, there was no need to estrange Meri if Gwendolyn and Kody Brown could be compatible, unless she had deliberately stayed away, and mourn alone is Meri. Okay, because she knows that Robin Brown used her as a pawn. Meri Brown and Robin Brown are no longer friends. Once best friends, the Sister Wives co-stars have lost friendship. Jen Sullivan, Meri's ex-B&B manager, has always been there for her and is her best friend. In any event, was Meri deliberately isolated from the family? And where was she afterwards? After the ceremony, she may well have been there in accordance with some. But off-screen, I really hope that she walked with the family. Perhaps she did not appear on camera, but was there in another room. I think she was at the table, and if you watch again and give good notice, you will see her there. I know it indicates she was there, but it is not a positive. Also, it was said that there had been tension between Meri and Meri Brown, but it would have all been forgotten at the moment. The reason Kody did not attend was also sufficiently questioned by some who believed Janelle would have been more than willing did Robin Brown show her sorrow at Garrison's funeral. Robin Brown's Sister Wives star has been embroiled in several scandals in the past. Many fans are upset with her for behaving like a victim when the 3 other wives departed, but many also blame her for causing the downfall of the Brown family. The family has been experiencing a very difficult time since Garrison's premature death, but many people are displeased with Robin's attitude towards her grief at Garrison's funeral. To see the debate continue, reading, is Robin Brown keeping her children apart from the rest of the family? In Sister Wives, Kody's suspicious behavior of keeping himself away from his older kids could have been prompted by Robin's popular habit of keeping her kids away from the rest of the family. Michael T. already mentioned it in one of her live streams. The manner in which she and Kody acted upon reunifying the family at Wyoming to bury Garrison's ashes also angered a great number of fans. Some believe that Robin and Kody treated their road trip like a vacation, with Kody dominating the conversation, talking about himself all day. However, several of people are criticizing Robin for doing so much worse when they were laying Garrison to rest. Did Robin grieve at Garrison's funeral on social media? A few Sister Wives fans discussed Robin Brown's behavior at Garrison's funeral. The Billboard reports that everybody was crying as they laid down their own special memento on Garrison's grave. However, Robin scooped up some dirt and threw it onto the grave before she left as though nothing had happened. The Opie thought Robin was playing out her grief due to her acting. Also, according to the poster, Robin said not one word that was genuine. Others agreed and complained about Robin's constant use of the word hole to refer to Garrison's grave. It implied a great deal for Kody to dig the hole. She said, frequently calling the grave, "The hole, this really upset me. Please be somehow respectful of what it is she is lacking in style." She asked Aurora, "How do you feel after being submerged?" In much the same way, I was bawling like a baby, informing my child that this is the only episode in which Robin did not cry, most likely did not wish to become in contact with the ground. She might ruin her nails. Sister Wives Robin Brown's controversial comment. After his acquisition of knowledge about Garrison's demise, Robin had already caused some raise in eyebrows during the grieving process of the family regarding Garrison's demise. The reality TV personality revealed how she learned about Garrison's premature demise in the last episode. When Kody informed her of what happened, she revealed that she was working. However, Robin Brown was brought under fire by many supporters on social media who were eager to learn what she was working on. Robin's unemployment is not a secret, especially because she closed up her jewelry business, Robin, but is also one of the most expensive of the other wives, collecting hundreds of American Girl dolls. I think she may have been busy adding to her collection of dolls. The nanny does the same thing. She wasn't fulfilling the order for which Meri has been bullied. I could have shrieked, "Doing what?" At the TV dot, it was expected that the reunion after a tearful leave would be a time of togetherness and a collective sigh for a family suffering from an unimaginable loss after a solemn memorial of a beloved young man whose life was cut far too short. All eyes turned to a question that nagged faithful viewers of the long-running family saga. Where did Meri disappear when the cameras cut back to a house full of familiar faces? Every limb of the complex family tree was touched deeply by the loss of a well-known matriarch's youngest son. Meri had observed this young man's entire life unfold as one of the original cohort of women who had stood by their mutual husband through decades of religious union and group parenting. She had been present for him as she had been for his brothers, from times of stubborn independence to playful childlike guffawing during a confessional interview. She heard about his death, and the seriousness of the moment hit her instantly and powerfully. In a matter of seconds, her face changed from focused to shattered, mirroring the profound sorrow that overwhelmed her. Her usually firm and resolute voice shuddered with anguish, recalling the youngster W. Ho had grown up under her vigilant care. Unrelenting, the tears ran. She was mourning as a person who had once held his wee hand and watched him courageously embark on a world that had finally proved to be cruel. Not only as a remote kin, with a quiet determination, she went into her mourning. Although her own heart was breaking, she ensured that his mother got comfort in the initial aftermath. By bringing in food and gifts at the formal service, she remained quietly in the ranks of the mourners, her eyes betraying the storm within her. Her stance set, but vulnerable, her presence was deeply felt, and it was obvious from her participation in the ceremony and the burial that her relationship with the dead remained as intense as ever. But one was missing as the family pulled back into the warmth of a shared house to gather, think, and perhaps find comfort in one another. The absence of the woman who had been so striking previously caught the viewer's eye. Almost every member of the family who could make it was there, including some who had decided to live in the background. In silent support was her son, who is known to shun the limelight, but there was no indication of Meri herself. Those who followed the family's trace began to ask questions. Was she asked? Did she refuse? Did she keep away due to unresolved issues? Loyal fans speculated and surmised on social media. making gossip turn into a silent storm. Some surmised that she could have chosen privacy instead of fame. Others believed she would have taken somewhere with her child to memorialize in a less public manner, though that theory was quickly debunked when her toddler appeared among the sorrowful crowd individuals who have watched the family relationship for years. Know that relationships have shifted and bonds have frayed. Meri's role had changed over time, from being accepted as a core part of the family circle, where there had been shared meals and smiling. There were now uncomfortable silences, and physical distance relationships had become different over time, and emotional climates have grown ever more complex. Her relationship with various family members has turned bitter, particularly with former confidants over the years. A warm friendship with another wife had broken down into something distant and estranged. There was merely cold civility, where there had been everyday chat and mutual comfort. Nonetheless, one could expect that even the most tense couples will come together for comfort in times of extreme bereavement. Meri, however, followed a different path. Perhaps there were plenty of emotional landmines in the communal house. She may have felt more of a spectator than a participant in this communal mourning because of the lack of comprehension or open wounds. Perhaps her pain would have been more unbearable if she had still been among the people she once referred to as family. Although this is simply speculation, it's equally possible that she actively remained out of sight, not because she had been ostracized, but more because she needed silence in times of sorrow. Not all mourners seek company. Some find it simpler to achieve when they are by themselves. Others might discover that having people around who have wounded them or who have been a part of disturbing memories renders an already troublesome loss even more challenging on the web. There were whispers in the course of the family drama. Viewers were zeroed in on glimpses of moments convinced they saw her shadow sitting silently at the border of a table or in a corner of a room. Others believe she had slipped in and left without eliciting attention to avoid disturbing the privacy of a shared sorrow speculation, mounted each as plausible as the previous one. Sentimental words were exchanged by supporters who feared she had been overlooked. They surmised the host family, including those with whom she had spoken in earnest, would have certainly embraced her sorrow. After all, has an odd habit of drawing lines in the sand and immediately erasing them. But Meri's silence merely served to raise the question. She did not confirm or deny her whereabouts through a public declaration, cryptic message, or clarification letter. Her silence was a contrast to the candor she had previously exhibited over her long on-screen career. The assumed emotional anchor was a woman with whom she had worked extensively in a shared business venture and was her closest friend outside the household. Most people believed that this friend had filled the role of a listener and helping assistant. When Meri stepped back from the violent world of public life, even as Meri's family connections set her back, and both of them had built a friendship founded on mutual knowledge and humor, there had been more than enough evidence of tension with other members of the extended family circle. For years, Meri had been the subject of gossip about arguments. An emotional distance from her had been described as fiercely independent and dedicated, but she also struggled with the weight of unreciprocated loyalty. Thus, others found her absence from the post-service ceremony was simply the final line in a long song of estrangement. Others held to a different vision. They imagined her somewhere else, perhaps taking a quiet walk, lighting a candle alone, or reciting prayers into the wind. They felt that her love for the young man she lost was irrefutable, and that her decision to forego the event was a highly personal one. More than an announcement of detachment, raised eyebrows were also raised by the family patriarch's no-show, though there was a whispered buzz of speculation about his whereabouts and emotional stability. Meri's vanishing caused more alarm. Viewers were left pondering. How a person so emotionally invested in the loss and so engaged could simply disappear from the public consciousness. Grief is never straightforward. It's likely this latest chapter was simply too much for a woman who has spent so many years navigating the challenges of mutual relationships, public scrutiny, and religious devotion to deal with in public. Perhaps being alone was a sanctuary instead of a means of escape. Silence descended upon the next few days. There was no official account, no dismissal of theories, and no corroboration of appearances. And perhaps that's precisely how she wanted it, a quiet respite from the din, the cameras, and demands. The somber assembly in the overcast Wyoming sky was supposed to reunite broken hearts, but has turned instead into a setting of whispers and questions. There was a great deal of pain present when the multitude of many spouses, who were now extensively scattered, gathered to celebrate a beloved son who had been gone too soon. But one individual's conduct grabbed more people's attention than others, and not for the reasons expected. There was a full spectrum of reactions among the mourners, from siblings grasping to memories, to mothers paralyzed by grief. But one husband excelled in body language and words, though not everyone had fond memories of her. Her presence at the cemetery was observed. This woman arrived with what some found to be a dramatic flourish, a spade of dirt scattered on top of the grave, followed by a quick exit as the others laid mementos of remembering on the ground that now contained a lost young life. Lost the long-standing family reality TV programs, viewers had already begun to question whether her recent actions were genuine, and this farewell only added to speculation. Grandstanding or mourning viewers speculated about what they see. Discussions arose on internet forums after the televised burial. The detached language she used, often making reference to the lying place as an entity rather than a grave or holy ground, caused unease among viewers who viewed it as reckless and disrespectful. To all was in tears, embracing each other, whispering farewells, but she seemed like she could not wait to get through her bit and leave, said one of the viewers who was very upset. Others concurred, describing her as being composed in a way that was inappropriate to the tone of the ceremony. One critic wrote, "This is the first time she didn't cry, and it's at the most tragic moment the family has ever experienced." Some made ironic remarks, wondering if she had held back her manicure intact by not subjecting it to dirt, while others opined that her silence was enough of a statement. Isolation in the family circle, tense relationships, and silent gaps. This was more than a transitory moment. Fans and insiders have long observed a long pattern, which it followed unlike their half-siblings. Her children rarely went to larger family gatherings unless there were cameras around or the situation was too grave to ignore. Many people have found this distance to be painful, particularly when older kids from different relationships were cut off from their father. Some have suggested that the effect of a mother who defended her house like a fortress played a role in the emotional and physical distance in an intimate online conversation. One adult daughter once remarked that the relationships became weaker because of small decisions, missed calls, unanswered invites, and lack of milestones. All of them erected an insubstantial barrier that was too strong even for shared grief to just make it through. Is it an error or a memorial? Her actions provoked public reflection. Numerous fans who were viewing the send-off from afar found themselves putting one person upheld a meticulously calculated decorum, while most members of the family displayed unbridled emotion, leaning into the pain and allowing it to show it was not forgotten. One person noted her speech seemed more about appearance than loss. She talked more about the impact on Kody than on the mother or the boy's siblings. Audiences were left questioning whether she had always been more concerned about one relationship than the entire family network. Due to this disengagement, many fans viewed her relationship with the young man, whose life was being acknowledged as at best incidental. He had not been raised by her, especially in the last years of his life. They had not spent much, and yet there she was on the center stage. Reality versus perception. How did she really feel? Grief is a monster of the unfamiliar. To be fair, there are numerous varied forms that people display. Some people scream, some people weep, some people stay stoic, their agony hidden beneath faces of routine upbringing or fear of falling apart. Some may have presumed that her serene aloofness was merely a process mechanism. However, numerous fans don't accept it. Social network feeds were filled with questions. Was it a well-planned act or a true grief? Did the emotional detachment seem real, or was it just a contrast to the raw pain of the others? A controversial past trust had already been compromised. There has long been debate regarding her role in the dissolution of the Pai household. She was at first welcomed as the last member of the extended network of sisterly relationships, but she quickly became a figure of conflict and change, while his relationships with his other friends worsened. Her relationship with the clan patriarch intensified. She was considered by some to be the hub around which the others revolved, going beyond the role of another husband as spectators watched her at the burial that previous pressed heavy on them. One individual added, "You can't ignore all that brought us to this point. This was not just grief. Their wounds were uncovered by years of loneliness, division, and partiality." She even brought eyebrows when she heard of the death of this young man. She said she was in the middle of doing something when she heard the news on a confessional. Her answer's vagueness earned internet sarcastic ridicule, many pondering what kind of work she was doing there. There was speculation. Was she organizing her award doll collection? Operating a side gig that has since gone out of business? Are you preparing to do another family video spot? Some others felt her response was tone-deaf and jarring. Those who felt she had long shunned duty or substantial contribution were outraged by the doubt. The burden of appearances are the tears founded on fact. This woman is a lightning rod for fan anguish due to her lengthy past of being paired with melodramas through time. Her tears on camera have been seen as performative and not vulnerable. She failed to cry at the funeral, which made people sit up and take notice, not because she wasn't feeling anything, but instead because it ended a trend. One onlooker stated the time when tears would have been appropriate, and she was dry-eyed. She did not know the cameras were rolling and did not wish to overplay her hand, or she was numb to the emotions. Many pointed to the time that she told her children that their father was proud of them, instead of speaking of the cousin they lost. One observer commented, "It appeared that she seized the moment she turned the attention on herself." Family over mourning for the child. Although not always shouldered equally, losses shared. This was a mother's loss. Sisters and people who spent mornings, lunches, and memories with the deceased young fellow. Some of her supporters argue that her mourning wasn't as heavy, or if it was, it wasn't hers, to show in such a big central way, even if everyone was entitled to weep. Some internet users drew a comparison between the dead mother and the concerned woman. The latter was seen crying in pure sorrow, comforting others and staying till the last. It was a shocking contrast. Final thoughts. The tearing grief. The fact that more differences cropped up during a time meant to bring people together is perhaps the saddest thing about this story. Rather than ending a chapter, the ceremony revived old wounds and brought new debates. Outsiders might never really comprehend the profundity of an individual's sorrow, but the impressions they leave are incontrovertible. Thank you for watching. Do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Get more updates every day. See you soon.